The advent of computers, the advent of data, the advent of huge amounts of high-speed internet availability has changed the rules of the game. So people who are investing in the old style will find that it no longer is as easy to make money. People who change themselves, people who become more modern in their approach by starting to use technology, quantitative techniques, data sciences, they will be really the people who will dominate, not the old style artistic way of investing.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today it is an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce you all to this very particular session where we are going to know more about the impact of technological improvements on developing financial markets. My name is Harsh and I'm going to moderate this session for all of you wherein I'm going to introduce you all about session and perhaps the person who is going to interact and address all of us. So first of all, I request you all to kindly acknowledge and welcome the presence of our esteemed guest, and he is very dynamic, very interesting and very renowned personality, none other than Mr. Shankar Sharma, who is here with us. I would like to request all the persons, those who are watching this session on YouTube, to kindly applaud in the comment section and welcome the presence of our esteemed guest. Our guest, Mr. Shankar Sharma, is the Vice Chairman and Joint Managing Director of First Global. He has a wide following in India's stock market. When the market witnessed a sharp fall or there is a bubble in stocks, Mr. Sharma has often predicted it in advance. Mr. Sharma has been called the alchemist of Dalal Street by Forbes magazine. Mr. Sharma has been widely quoted in the Wall Street Journal, CNBC, Financial Times, and has been featured on the shows like The Mind of the Market on NDTV Profit. In addition to being guest on several shows on finance and markets on several channels in India and abroad. And I believe his profile has so many things, so many glories, which I won't be able to explain in next few minutes. But I'm pretty sure during this conversation, we are going to learn a lot from him. So first of all, sir, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. It's our pleasure too. So, moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen, is the impact of technological improvements on developing financial markets. Technology is shaping many different areas of world. It is speeding up manufacturing, improving our quality of life, making many aspects of life more efficient and effective. One area that has been revolutionized by the advances of technology itself is the financial market and the stock market. So my first question to you is, or it's a request to you, sir, kindly explain our viewers what are the several ways of how technology has changed and shaped the current state of the markets and also the future directions.
So first and foremost, technology in my view is not just the present, but it is the entire future of investing in financial markets. So let me give you an example. If you go back in history of sport, okay, so let's say hockey or tennis, or even a brute force sport like boxing, go back 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 70 years, you will find that most sport was basically a game of artistry, was a game of skill. So before you were born, India was the number one hockey nation in the world. Okay. And Pakistan was number two. This I'm talking 50s, 60s, 70s. In fact, in I think 1952 Olympics, India beat America, by what, by how much margin in the hockey championship? 26 love in one game, 26 goals. That was the level of expertise that India had in field hockey. India was the uncrowned and crowned champion of hockey. Pakistan and India were always vying for gold and silver, number one, number two in all tournaments. Now, today, India and Pakistan don't even feature in any top 5, 7 nations in hockey. What changed? That's the important thing, and that's the answer to your question. What changed was that when India and Pakistan were dominating, it was a game of skill. meaning individual skill. It was a game of artistry, it was a game of dribbling, it was a game of body work, stick work. All those things were why India and Pakistan were so good and so successful. Over the next, let's say from 80s, the field of play changed. So what it changed to was AstroTurf. On AstroTurf, it became a game of speed. Okay. And when you hit a ball, the ball travels really fast. So your reflexes needed to be very, very fast. And then running on AstroTurf is very hard on the legs, unlike grass. So it changed the whole nature of what was required to succeed in hockey. It became a game of power. It became a game of speed instead of it becoming a game, remaining a game of skill and artistry. Okay. Same thing happened in tennis when wooden rackets were there. Now with titanium rackets, it's a completely different game. Investing in the era of Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch was like the Indian hockey team, where one person was sitting, analyzing balance sheets, meeting companies, making judgment, good company, bad company, good management, bad management, very, very individual skill driven. Okay. Today, that game is no longer the way it is supposed to be played. It has now become AstroTurf in investing also. By that, what I mean is the advent of computers, the advent of data, the advent of huge amounts of high-speed internet availability has changed the rules of the game. So people who are investing in the old style will find that it no longer is as easy to make money. People who change themselves, people who become more modern in their approach by starting to use technology, quantitative techniques, data sciences, they will be really the people who will dominate, not the old style artistic way of investing. So that is a good introduction to what technology holds. Because when I started my career, there were no computers, let alone internet. So from there till today, the whole journey has been that information has become very easily available. In fact, the problem is the opposite. Now there's too much information as opposed to 1980s when I started, when there was no information. So, the both have their own challenges. And you had no information, you had to go looking for information. Now we have so much information that it comes looking for you, but you do not have the time or the bandwidth. How do you do that is what determines whether you're going to be successful or not.
Indeed, sir. Quite insightful answer from your side, and I think it's a kind of pleasure today we got to hear all those things from you. Sir, as you have told many things about the AI, how technology has changed the market, and you have focused on the data science, what actually how it is helping and acting as a means enabler. Sir, in the same context, we have seen that machine learning is branch of artificial intelligence that uses statistical model to make predictions. In finance, machine learning algorithms are used to detect fraud, automate trading activities, and provide financial advisory services to investors. So, my question to you is: do you think AI trading technology is making stock market investors more smarter?
So the answer is yes and no, meaning that AI and machine learning both basically end up enabling processing of vast amounts of data. Okay, they are very good tools. But let me make one thing clear. Ultimately, no machine learning or AI model can become better than the creators, at least not on day one. It is who creates those models which determines how successful in predictions are those models going to be. So it is like you have two drivers, one who has driven in all kinds of races and conditions, and the other has not driven much, and you give both of them the same car, who is going to win the race? It's obvious that the guy with that greater experience and therefore greater skill will win the race, while this guy, even with the same, in fact, you can even give the skilled driver a poorer car and he will still win it, because the car is only as good as the driver. No car will do better than the driver. So in the hands of an unskilled driver, the best AI ML tools will still fall. So ultimately, all these tools are only as good as their creators. So if you just put somebody who has no experience of investing, okay, into building these models, they will build models. Model building is not difficult, okay? But whether those models are going to be working well, being able to predict properly, can handle different conditions, I can guarantee you it will not. So you cannot remove experience from this, just to be clear about it. You need good brains and then the good tools combined together become a winning combination.
Indeed, sir. I think it's very hard to disagree with you in this point. Sir, my next question to you is: what are the some of the greatest transformation you have witnessed in your overall journey in this financial market?
I think, I mean, I think it's completely different the way one can invest today, the kind of level playing field of information which exists between experienced investors, professional investors, and the average investor. Last 12 months have shown us that uh, almost anybody can access the markets with the same degree of ease and probably be even as successful as an experienced person, at least for some time. That has only gone to show that the markets need not be the exclusive preserve of a chosen few. Markets have become wider in terms of their ability to get newer people, newer thinking, newer brains, younger people. I mean, it's so empowering to see younger, if you entered at 25, 30, 35, you have at least a 25, 30, 40-year journey ahead of you. You will get very, very rich without any doubt.
Indeed, sir. Sir, my next question to you is what we have seen during this COVID-19 or during this ongoing pandemic, we have seen the people start understanding the importance of technology and the emergency and need to go digital in almost every field. We have seen the component of index have changed. Earlier, it was commodities and textile. Now it is IT and pharma. Sir, my question to you is how do you think the component will change going forward?
I think the component being in the future will become more and more tech. As in India, you are going to see a slew of new listings coming, which will be newer and newer generation companies, e-commerce companies, logistics companies, things like that. Unlike the previous generation where you had more traditional companies like steel companies or cement companies and telecom companies, banking companies, financial companies, now you will see a lot more technology driven companies, and if they do well, and some of them you can see company like India Mart, there are again a platform business, or Info Edge or Root Mobile or Tanla platforms. All these are that will be the newer generation of companies. I think that segment will keep growing, and technology, not just IT services. IT services is not really tech. More like an old line manufacturing business. It's really not as tech as technology should be. So when you see an increase in these listings, the market cap complexion pie chart will change away from steel and cement and automobiles and banking financials to more tech centric businesses. I think that is inevitable.
Indeed, sir. Again, it was a quite insightful answer from your side. I think the viewers, those who are watching this session, they are surely going to find this insightful. Sir, in same context, my next question to you is actually I've got this question from one of our viewers. He's asking, when you took your first step into this market, did you ever imagine that the index could give such a phenomenal return?
So I did not even know there was any index. I think, I had no idea in 1982, 83. I wasn't even aware that there was something called the BSE Sensex. I just bought a few stocks. So the awareness of the Sensex happened 6, 7, 8 years later. But I was clear about one thing. I was not really predicting returns from the stock market as much as predicting that India would become a good, large, liquid market. I had no idea whether the Sensex would give 15% compounded or not. Okay, but that India's stock markets would become more mature, more aligned with global markets. That was my belief. And in hindsight, that belief turned out to be correct, that India, from where it was in the 80s to where it is now, old style trading went out, it's fully computerized, very modern exchanges. And remember, people should know that the Bombay Stock Exchange is one of the oldest stock exchanges in the world. It started in the 1800s. It has a huge and rich legacy. India has had a big legacy of stock markets. It's not as if stock market started only in 1980. They started in 1880, and they started in Horniman Circle, just near the current Bombay Stock Exchange building. So, I'm proud to be part of a huge, sort of journey of stock market. We started in the 1800s, and I started in the 1900s, and here we are in the 2000s era, and it's still going as strong as it was.
Indeed, sir. Sir, my next question to you is, as you have told that you have started just and then you understanding the things and means after 7 to 8 years means you got all the understanding about this stock market. Sir, what are the some best strategies would you like to suggest for the beginner investors?
So first and foremost, I would only recommend that please read the first 10, 15 years of your career in investing. You may or may not make big money. If you make big money, you're lucky. That's all I can say. It will not come out of a lot of skill. Spend and invest in reading and learning. So in the first, when I started in the 80s, that time I hadn't read much, but from the 1990s, we built a huge library of books, which we read inside out on fundamentals, on quantitative, on technicals, on macro, micro, business histories, biographies, autobiographies. And even till last night, I was reading a book which I hadn't read before. It's a very interesting book. So this business requires you to keep reading intensely. And I can tell you, if you do not read, you will not succeed. But if you read, I will guarantee you will succeed. I will give it to you in writing. If you invest in your reading and knowledge building, you will become very, very rich. It is the simplest get rich quick formula I can tell you. Okay. So that is formula number one. Formula number two, do not fall in the trap of finding multi-baggers. Okay. That is a total and complete waste of time. And that's actually dangerous advice which has been given by, very halo fund managers like Warren Buffett and Peter Lynch. And I regret to say that I used to read them then, and I also fell in the same trap of trying to find multi-baggers. The point is, you cannot find multi-baggers. Okay. There is no formula in this world which tells you this company will go up 20 times or 50 times. The formula is in the opposite, that you buy a reasonably large basket of stocks, maybe 20 stocks, maybe 25 stocks. Of that, by sheer probability, 2 or 5 companies, as long as you have chosen reasonably well, will become multi-baggers. Okay. On day one, you will not know which of these 25 players will become Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. Okay. You need to have 25 players. After 2 series, 5 series, 8 series, you will realize, okay, of this 25, 2 have become brilliant, 5 are above average, 7, 8 are average. Balance need to be eliminated from your team. It's the same approach in investing. Of that 25, 2, 3 will be superlative. Rest of them will be in various shades of, above average, average, and bad. The bad ones need to be eliminated. You will put some more players into the team. Again, you have a new team of 25, of which some are old players, some are new players. That again, team will keep playing. Again, you will find the same story getting repeated. That is the formula to becoming seriously rich. That's formula number 2. So, okay, formula number three, get rid of this game. This business is not about investing in a company's management. This business is a business of investing in a company's financials. That's all it is. As long as the financials and the number justify, remain invested. If they don't, get out. Even though management may not have changed, the same management can have very good periods The same management can have terrible periods. History has got plenty of examples. Don't fall in the trap of falling in love with that particular promoter, that particular management. Okay? That's wrong. Fall in love only with numbers. Numbers should be your romantic affair in this business, not human beings. You're not investing in human beings. Right? Never ever forget this. This is mantra number 3.
Indeed, sir. Thank you so much for sharing all these mantras with us. And I think the viewers, those who are watching this session, they are surely going to find this very insightful. And not only I think, but I do strongly believe this, sir. Sir, my next question to you is, and although I got this question from one of my subscribers, actually, he's a beginner and he's asking, is it compulsory you must have a financial background if you are entering in this financial market or stock market kind of things?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, you need to know what you're doing. So you cannot become a pilot without knowing how an aircraft works. It's not possible because a pilot's job is to know every aspect of the aircraft's operation, not just because he is flying it, but the time it one day will come when it is not flying, it is going to crash. What do you do then? So without deep knowledge, do not attempt. Why investing? Nothing in life you should do without knowing it inside out. Now, whether you get that through a degree, like a CFA program or an MBA program or whatever, or if you are so proficient that you can spend years and years reading on your own, please do it. But without knowledge, you will fail in this business. I can guarantee you that. Like I said, with knowledge, you will 100% succeed.
Indeed, sir. Sir, my next question to you is any learning from your side or in the market up until now, which you would like to share with our viewers?
So there are many learnings. One of the biggest learnings is the fact that our biggest mistakes happen when we have made a good amount. Okay, so when one is having a good time in markets, all the bets are working, or most of the bets are working. That is the time when you should actually caution yourself that you are having a very good time. Now it's time to start preparing for a little bit of a downturn. Most people tend to assume that the good times are going to be repeated month after month and quarter after quarter, year after year. But life is mean reverting. You will have a good period followed by a bad period. But if you have already seen that a bad period can come because you had a very good time, you will be able to take corrective action ahead of that time. Good times make you complacent. Good times make you lazy. Okay. And your biggest mistakes happen when you are lazy because of easy fat profits. Again, in cricket, most people get out at 101, 102, 105. Okay. Why? Because they've just got a century. They're feeling relaxed. They're saying, okay, great. Next ball comes. They've played a loose shot and they're out. The truly great players like Brian Lara, they used to forget, or Sunil Gavaskar, they used to forget that I made 100. Now, just erase that. You're starting back again from zero. Okay. That's the way you have to approach investing also. Biggest learning is when you had a good period, become more cautious. Don't become less cautious.
Indeed, sir, very meaningful. I can say, sir, there is a lot more to learn from you. But today, I don't want to take you much time. So, moving to my last question of this session, sir, actually, the question is, what are the some common major mistakes people do when they start? Means as a beginner, when they start investing in this market.
So people get emotionally attached to each of their positions. That's the biggest mistake they make because they don't want to admit that something has gone wrong now. Okay. And most of us, if all of us make this mistake of not facing up to the reality. We don't want to admit that our research was wrong, our view was wrong. And remember one simple thing in investing over a if you do it very perfectly, you will still get only 50% of your calls right, maximum 50%. Most people like Warren Buffett get 1% right or 2% right. Imagine that. That's it. Out of 500 decisions, 2 decisions, 5 decisions, 8 decisions contribute almost all their wealth. If you are brilliant, you will get 50-50 right. So 50% will still be wrong. Remember that. The point is to recognize that these are wrong and eliminate them. So drop the losing players, drop the poor performers. Just because he was in the same school as you are doesn't mean he should remain in the team. That's emotional thinking. If you are captain, your job is only numbers, not individual human beings. Okay? Remove, bring in new players. It's the same approach in cricket, same approach in anything in life. So remember that, very, very important. But most of us, यार उसको कैसे मैं निकाल टीम से, यार ये कंपनी तो बड़ी अच्छी है, ठीक हो जाएगा फ्यूचर में. These are all emotional traps. Critically examine and ruthlessly eliminate.
Indeed, sir. Again, it was a quite wonderful advice from your side, and I must say, it was a very healthy discussion with you on the topic. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your important time. And one thing which I say is that the kind of energy you brought into the session was very inspiring. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your important time. It was a very healthy discussion.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Goodbye all.
Thank you, sir.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside, I'm alone.